Hey everybody! In today's video, I am going to play with two fun new products. The first is the upcoming Crafting Forever stamp set by Stampin' Up! And the second thing is a new masking fluid that I just got and I'm trying for the very first time. So you will get to see my experiment live. I'm stamping the pot of paintbrushes from this stamp set in antique linen distress ink because I'm going to do a little no line watercolor. And this is the product that I'm trying out today. This is the Schminky masking fluid. It has a very fine tip, which is why I wanted to try it. I have not had good luck with the Molotow masking pen. It dries really quickly and it tends to gum up a little bit and be hard to cover a large area with. So I was excited when I saw this product referenced on an art forum that I like, and I wanted to give it a try. It's very, very liquid. It comes out smoothly and quickly, and it does not gum up while you're applying a thick layer like I am here. The fine tip is letting me cover these little skinny paintbrushes perfectly. And it does come in both blue and white. I like the blue because I can just see it a little bit better on my watercolor paper. But you can get whichever color you prefer. So I let this dry for about an hour or so. I wasn't really paying attention to the clock. So just make sure that it's completely dry before you start watercoloring over it. That is very important. And I'm just going to see how well it resists my pigment. And I'm going to create a little background for this image. To start with, I'm lining this up on my grid mat for a good horizontal. What's cool about this paper is it alternates grid lines of gray and green. And so it's easier to tell if you're going across a big area like this that you're lining up two grid lines because they're the same color. So I thought that was kind of cool. This is the Paper Pumpkin grid paper from Stampin' Up! And I love it because it's pretty. So I'm putting down some Moon Glow watercolor. This is a Daniel Smith color that I really like. For a gray, it has just a tiny bit of a violet hue to it. It's a little bit something different than Payne's gray. And I just want to get a horizontal surface for the little pot to be on before I start working on the background. Now, because I don't want the background and the surface to run together, I do need to hit that with my heat gun before I start. I'm going to put clean water with my nice wash brush that I love. I love my silver brushes. This is just a flat 1-inch brush that I use whenever I'm doing a big background. And I'm just going to cover this whole thing with water because I want my background colors to run together. Now, as I cover that with water, I can really see it bead up on that masking fluid. It's doing a great job of protecting my little image. So far, I am really impressed. Let's just hope that when I take it off, it comes off easily and perfectly. That can be the challenge with other masking fluid as well. So now I'm just going to add some Opera Pink watercolor in the background. I'm going to do my Holy Trinity of my slightly off primaries that I like to use. I usually use a magenta or a pink for the red. This is a phthalo blue green shade for the blue. And then I'm going to use a Hansa yellow medium for the yellow. And let those blend together. Now they look really vibrant here, but it actually dries a little bit lighter. So you can get pretty intense with the color. I'm adding some quinacridone violet and hooker's green in a few spots, just for a little extra something in the background. And then I'm going to go ahead and dry this again with my heat gun. The other thing you need to do before you remove your masking fluid is to make sure that the paper is dry, because wet paper you can tear a little bit. Normally when I remove masking fluid, I start with my adhesive eraser just to get a little corner or a spot of the masking fluid up. And then I do the rest with my finger. It's easier to feel where there is a little bit of masking fluid left on the project. If I do it with my finger, that's a little harder with an adhesive eraser. The instructions for this product say do not peel the masking fluid off. They say rub it off with your fingers, because if you just lift kind of a little sheet of it on a larger area, you might damage the surface of your paper. That's my assumption anyway. So I'm just gently rubbing it, and I did put this on pretty thickly. So on the pot, it takes a little longer to get off than it does on the brushes, because there's just not quite as much there. So that stuff did an awesome job. There is no bleed through. It was easy to remove. It was easy to apply. I'm a fan. So I can actually recommend this to you now. I have not recommended a masking product yet. My problem with a lot of masking fluids is they smell so bad, and this one does not. So it just grosses me out to open a bottle of normal masking fluid that smells like it has a dead mouse in it. It's just not my thing. Okay, so now I'm going to carry on with the pot. With the pot, I wanted the gray for this to contrast a little bit with my Moon Glow. And so I'm actually using Daniel Smith Payne's Gray. And I will be honest with you about Daniel Smith Payne's Gray. It is not as blue as like my Core Payne's Gray or my Mission Gold. And I really like the bluish cast of those. This one is a little bit purer gray for a Payne's Gray. I can't say it's my favorite one, but it's a beautiful color. It's just not what I think of when I think of Payne's Gray. When I think of Payne's Gray, I think of a stormy sky. Just a little bit of blue in the background. Now I'm using my number 2 silver brush here because I can get such fine detail. And I'm letting the shadows stay to the left side of the brushes, so those will be a little bit darker. There's also a craft knife in this image, which you will see over on the left there, and I leave that almost to the white of the page so that it looks like a blade. And then for the brushes, I will make the brushes the colors of my background. So I'm using the phthalo blue and the opera pink and the Hansa yellow so that it looks like they have just painted the background that is behind them. And I think this is just a really fun combo. But here you can see how much violet there really is in the Moon Glow compared to the Payne's Gray of the little bucket. So those make a nice contrast while still remaining neutral. So at the end here, I will just make sure that I have a little shadow underneath the bucket. And this, you know, I got this a little bit wet first, so that makes it a little easier to have sort of a formless shadow. I don't want it to be an exact copy of the bucket, just the general shape on the table, just to give it a little dimension and reality. And then I don't know why I stuck with my number 2 brush here. I should have done it with the number 4 because I probably could have gotten that done just a little bit faster. But I can sort of do a very abstract brush shape at the top just so you get that feeling that you might be looking at a reflected image of the pot. And I'll blend that in. Now the shadow, you'll see I did the shadow with Payne's Gray. I didn't do the shadow with Moon Glow. And that's because that's the color that would be reflected on the surface. And I think it's really fun to see those two colors sort of play together. It's amazing how much difference there can be from one gray tone to another. And the only way to really see that is to paint them side by side and see what happens. The sentiment I'm using is just my favorite. It's something I really believe in. I think that you should do something creative every day. Thanks so much for watching.